Hi guys, Lindsay here with Storybook Family Farm. So today I actually opened up the shed that's behind our house. And this is the first time since the beginning of April that this shed has actually been opened because shortly after we got here, we opened it up, seen how much junk was in here, and we just shut it. Like we're like, this will be dealt with another day. And then as summer came, we had realized that this place was basically Snake Island. We actually encountered a couple snakes in the house and seen probably a couple hundred snakes crawling around the property, and we realized that this shed was probably actually a nice hidey hole for the snakes, especially because we kept seeing chipmunks and squirrels running in through here and seeing mice running out of here. Just not a place that we really wanted to go into. And then later on in the summer, we had seen a whole bunch of wasps and hornets coming in here. Just not a very inviting place to go. So I've actually been waiting for it to become cooler weather outside so I can open it up to see, like, is this shed even salvageable? And honestly, after opening it, I'm kind of glad I waited till now to open it because, well, for one, my nose is running, so I can't smell the mildewiness all that strong. I did walk back through here once already just to make sure that I wasn't going to fall through the floor because there is some water damage. And I figured if I fell through the floor, I probably shouldn't have my phone hooked to as a camera on a tripod. It'd be better if it was in my pocket. So if I needed to call for help, it's within reach, for good reason. But so there is a lot. I'll come through here so you guys can see. I should have just started the video in the back of the shed. But so there is a lot of trash in here, old clothes, some water damage on the floorboards here. I have no idea what this thing is. Some sort of filtery thingy majig. I'm not really sure. There was a lot of large size aquarium stuff here that, like, I have no idea what type of fish they would have been raising because it was like really massive size filters and stuff, and I don't know much about raising fish, but Tracy used to, so she was even perplexed as to what in the world they were raising. But there's been a lot of really fun questions posed like that with this homestead when we bought it. It's been a lot of why is this way? But so there is some furniture back here, a really creepy looking, oh, that's really heavy duty. It's like a tissue box that's made of metal. I don't think it's an urn just because there is a nice little hole there that looks awful tissuey. And that is a very technical term. So there is this table back here that looks like it's got some pretty nice legs on it. I don't know if it's anything that I'll end up refinishing. It depends. I don't really want to take my glove off to touch it to find out if it's real wood or if it's like the fake veneer type stuff, because the veneer stuff, it's really hard to work with, but if it's actually like real wood, you can actually like legitimately like sand it down and restain it, or get paint to stick better. A lot of times if it's the veneer stuff, it's really hard to get paint to stick unless if you do a lot of work to it, and it's just sometimes it's not worth it. But it might make a nice table for me to use as a workbench. Ultimately, we're hoping that this space, once I clean it out, that it's in good enough of shape that we can start plants in here and also have it be kind of like a wood shop for me, because I desperately need a space that I can actually build stuff and create stuff for fixing up this house that isn't the front deck or isn't the living room, because it does make things get a little bit complicated running a bunch of saws inside because it produces a lot of dust. And there's a lot of really big projects that I have coming up that I really need a dedicated workspace for. So I am pretty relieved too that I can actually walk back here because I have never been, well, prior to this video, prior to today actually, I've never actually been this far back in the shed. I've only actually ever gone like the first step into the building, and I thought, oh, this seems kind of sketchy. But it actually, like, there's some water damage and stuff from the cupola right there leaking, and then there's a little bit of plywood damage over in here, and then right there at the doorway there's some wood rot. But honestly, it's in a lot better shape than I thought it was. Based on looking at the outside, outside's pretty sketchy. And there is, like, where the walls meet the ceiling here, there is, daylight clearly coming through and some rot there, which isn't that big of a deal because the shingles, when we got the roof on the house replaced, The roofer guy did tell us that he definitely thought that this roof needed replaced, and then also we know that the barn roof needs replaced as well, and that is actually on the agenda for the spring, is to have him come out and put a new barn roof on, and also potentially to re-shingle this, because I don't like heights. It's hard for me to do stuff up high. Tracy's not a big fan of heights, and I'd honestly just rather pay somebody to do something like that. We can do all the groundwork for everything else, but not heights people. But so there's also, at one point there was electricity ran out here, because there's an outlet back over there, and then over there is an outlet and a light switch and stuff. But there is not currently any power out to here. There was power originally at one point out to the barn as well, and I assume that this little shed probably served almost as like a little junction box type thing. But we have not found any wires going out of the house to this shed, and in the barn we had found the wires like buried underground, but they were only like 4 inches down and then not in any sort of conduit, so definitely a sketchy situation. But that's kind of the name of the game here with this homestead, is a lot of things were done in a way that was not necessarily the safest. So it's very much a lot of bringing things back up to being decent. But I would love to honestly be able to put some power out here so I can have lights and make like a proper workshop. The shed is, when I measured it with my feet, it was, I think, like a 10 by 16 or so. So it's a good sized work shed and stuff, little wood shop. But yeah, then there's a old painting back there that is kind of neat looking. It's just flowers, but I doubt that it's salvageable, just because it's not one that has like glass on it or anything like that. And there is some nice little end tables here, one here, and there's a smaller matching one down there. So those would actually be nice, because I can probably refinish them pretty easily, actually, to put in the living room, do something nice with it. But there is quite a bit of trash in here. And then that was a big step. There are some treasures, like these old Pepsi bottles and stuff. So I might see if like a resale shop or something like that wants to have them, and maybe we can make a couple bucks off of them. Be cool if we could make enough to buy like a sheet of plywood to cover up the floor or something like that. But yeah, on the outside there is quite a bit of rot along the base of the shed, like where the walls and stuff are. I assume that these 2x4s are treated, because they're almost in complete contact with the ground. But I'm curious as to, once we get really started with this project, how much damage there is and how much rot there is, because it might end up being that I end up having to replace all of the floorboards and stuff in here, like pulling up all the plywood and then redoing all of the floor joists with something that's more treated or something. I'm not really sure how long the shed has been here, but it's been neglected for long enough, and I think it's about time for it to get some life breathed back into it. But there are some neat treasures too. Like there's some old hinges. I assume these are the original hinges that were in the house before somebody took all the cupboard doors off and burned them. But so that'll be nice to be able to have hinges for the cupboard doors, so that way I don't have to buy them when I build them. And it'll be kind of cool too to reuse something that was already here. I really like doing that sort of a thing, so just repurpose the stuff that's around me, especially if it's historical or old looking or free. But so, and there is some flexible conduit back there, and we know from adding in the mini split that stuff is not that cheap. So that'll definitely be instrumental in running power out to here. So if you guys are enjoying this content, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends on social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to help us grow. We'd greatly appreciate it. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.